Recorded live in Denver, this is the Super Meeting Podcast from Nexstar. Welcome to the Super Meeting Podcast. I am your host, Nick Rao, digital marketing coach here at Nexstar, but today I'm moonlighting as the podcast host. Super excited to continue our series here, and now I get to talk with Jenny Benbrook of Powerhouse Consulting Group. Jenny, it's wonderful to have you here.
It is so wonderful to be here with you, Nick. Thank you for having me.
Super excited that we get to talk because I know we caught up last night and just like all the ideas started flowing out immediately, and it's so easy. So I'm super excited to share some of what we talked about with the audience here and let them kind of feel that learning that we kind of went through together and how much available stuff there is there. So
absolutely. I feel like every time we have a chance to connect, we have these really fun, interesting conversations, particularly around challenges that contractors are facing. Of course, we both have deep marketing backgrounds, but now we're both in a situation but different ends of the spectrum, but introducing software or a digital approach to marketing or operationalizing a contractor's business. So I always have a lot of fun chatting with you and sort of workshopping what's going on and
and
what
I love
the market
that
looks like.
We so quickly kind of came down to this idea of like how to use a tool, and like even in the kind of more the ether of how we're talking and a lot of that first party data and getting lost there, it really all kind of boiled down to the things that we were talking about all came back to just being able to properly utilize that tool. So really love the thing that we were talking about. So talk more about what you were telling me about how tools have costs and value associated with them. So yeah, tell me about that.
Definitely. So we were talking about the concept of technology or software in the trades today. We have so many options and solutions available to contractors that are in the market to create more efficiency in a contractor shop, whether it is end-to-end systems like ServiceTitan or more function or departmentally focused systems like a lot of the marketing tools that of course you're very familiar with. And anytime that we think technology or software, we aspire to what it's supposed to give us, which is greater efficiency, increased profitability, lower overhead, because these tools can automate what was once a very manual or redundant process.
Yeah.
So when we see these tools, there's a lot of engagement and excitement around them. There's a desire to get what they promise, which is that efficiency for a business. However, what we realize as software consultants, specifically for the trades, for contractors, is there's a much different reality. And I actually refer to this as a state of perceived efficiency, because we think we're getting these tools, we plug them into our business, and we should reap those benefits of profitability, lower overhead, higher employee satisfaction. But the reality that we see, because they're being plugged in without intentionality or without management plans, is actually the opposite of what we aspire with technology. So we see redundant systems, we see broken processes, underutilized tools, misaligned teams, and all of that results in a direct hit on a contractor's bottom line. So if you think about the reality of adopting these tools, but not just the financial cost that you incur from the subscription fees, but the unseen costs in lost productivity, duplicative spend, lost deals in the field, employee turnover and frustration from tech burnout. So it's a really interesting thing that we've seen over the past 2 years or so is this general overwhelm, a disconnect from what the tools were promising us and what we're actually seeing.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of like when you see the like commercial or infomercial on TV about like, oh, here's the Peloton bike. And yeah, you just buy the Peloton bike and look at how you're going to be just like these people you see in the commercials, and you're going to like have all of those things. And then you buy it and it sits in your basement and you never use it.
Right.
You've invested in this tool, and now sometimes even like a service-based investment. So not even a one-time cost, but an ongoing cost. But without the proper utilization of that tool, it's just going to sit and be that burden. And yeah, there is that theoretical gain that you would have by properly using it, but it's not just buying the tool.
That's right.
You have to have something else with it. So tell me about like that, because you were talking about that as well. Like, what are the things that need to come with the purchase of a tool to really help find that amazing value underneath, that theoretical value that you can get to?
Absolutely. So the simplest analogy that I can put on adopting technology into your business is to think of each tool like a living, breathing employee, like a human in your business. So what we talked about last night, if I hire a new team member on my company, I certainly wouldn't sit them at a desk and say, good luck. You know, hope it works out for you. Yeah, your resume looked great. Everything you told me you could do, I just believe in you, so you go do it. We absolutely don't operate that way. We have intentional onboarding plans. We might pair them with other peers in their departments for cross-training. We have ongoing certifications. So think about sending technicians or CSRs to Nexstar training.
Exactly.
Owners are making intentional investments in continuing to grow their staff so that they are developing these individuals to represent their business and ultimately increase their profitability. So when we think about that, how you invest in a team member, not just up front during onboarding, not in additional certifications, but also on a continuous review basis. So semi-annual or annual performance reviews, you sit, you assess, are they doing what they're supposed to be doing? Are they fulfilling all of their duties? Are they living by the company code? You're intentionally going through this performance evaluation on a continuous basis. Now, think of that, how you work with and invest in team members. Consider technology to be another team member.
Yeah. And
with that in mind, when you onboard a new tool, it is the owner's diligence, as a part of the owner's diligence, to understand, what can this tool do for my company? Why am I adopting this into the company? What are all of the features that it offers? What will I need internally to set it up for success?
Yeah.
So for example, if it is, let's talk about an AI tool, because that's all the rage right now.
Yeah, nobody seems to be talking about it. So let's So
if we think about the AI-powered ride-along software technology that's available, and there's so many great providers out there. The concept of that is to increase, by using this tool, increase the number of ride-alongs that you can manage and monitor. So as an owner or an implementer, I need to ask myself, who internally will own this tool so that they are actually utilizing the data that the tool is providing and coaching to it? So you may say, okay, I want my service manager and my sales manager to be owners of this tool. And every day, to set them up for success, we're going to make sure they have a report that goes directly into their inbox that they're going to review and that they're going to coach their team on. Conversely, what we typically see is they will implement the tool, tell the technicians, you have to use this. This is a part of our new process. We promise it'll help get better, but then never do anything with that data. And so understanding at the beginning, not only how you're going to implement these tools or onboard them like one of your employees, but also who's their accountability partner, who's monitoring them over time, making sure that we are actually using the data, and then review your tools on an ongoing basis, because this is technology and it moves fast.
Yeah.
The tools are changing, they're evolving. We have new tools entering the market, and it is so important to have dedicated time to review the tools that your company is using to determine, are they still working for me? Are there new features that I need to consider? Are there new options on the market that may be a better fit?
Yeah.
So when you think about that, just think of your tech like an employee.
Yeah, it was really funny. I had written down after our talk was treating technology like technicians.
Yes.
Like it's all kind of playing together in the same way. And yeah, I totally see what you're talking about, because it's crazy. And the way that you had said, like, for an employee who technically can be a self-starter, you could send an employee down and say, go. And if they're a self-starter, if they're really good, they could figure things out on their own. Technology doesn't do that. Technology doesn't just start going on its own for the most part. And maybe it would collect data, but it's not actually going to make changes on it. So
Right.
like the fact that how many like questions, I just had my performance review, and how many questions it asked me in my annual performance review. But then for the technology that we invest in, which sometimes is less money, but sometimes can be a lot more money than
Right.
an employee, we don't have anything like that. We don't sit down and go, okay, let's go through the questions. What were the goals of this technology when we implemented it? Is it achieving those goals?
Right.
What is it doing good? What does it need to be better at? Like things like that just go to the wayside. So yeah, you almost need like an annual performance review, because so many of the members that I talk to, their annual performance review is, I don't like it, so I'm not going to pay for it next year. And it's
Yeah.
like, that's not a good enough like assessment
Exactly.
of if this is worthwhile to you or not.
Right. And well, when you think about that, it's almost a cultural mindset that we're in, and technology in a large part has played into this. And that is how the perceived ease of changing tools. So again, if it's not working for me, whether it's a tool or a partner, there's so many options that it may seem easier just to cut ties and move on to the next tool. But without that foundation in place, without the accountability and the intentionality on the contractor side, you could, in most cases, are bringing the same problems to another tool. And so having this thoughtful plan about how you're using the tools, measuring their success, creating accountability internally, that helps contractors organically utilize more of these platforms and thus have more satisfaction in the platforms. And so another thing that I wanted to speak on with what you just said is how we got here. How we got here with technology, where we're adopting all of these tools, no plans in place, everything looks attractive, right, with AI or automation, and so we want what they offer. And both of us, having been in the industry for some time, we've sort of had I've had a front row seat on the software side of watching technology emerge in the industry. And we went from on-premise platforms like, like Successware ESC. So some of those old programs that were large, clunky, expensive, we were with those for 15, 20 years. Then we saw on cloud-based software enter the market, ServiceTitan, Field Edge, a couple of marketing tools. And still we had about a decade to get used to this technology in a contractor's shop. But in the past few years, really the past 2 or 3 years, there has been an absolute tornado, an explosion of technology products in our industry. And we haven't really had that time to sit down and say, how do I approach these tools in my business? Which tools are right for me? And most importantly, am I using the tools I have to their fullest potential before I consider bringing on new pieces of tech? And so what we've wanted to do is sort of stop the noise that's going on in the market and get back to the basics of building intentional plans, the same way you coach contractors on doing so with marketing. Technology should be considered in the same fashion.
Totally agree with you. And I love the kind of, it's almost like a 3-step approach that you brought of like, you have the education, like what is this tool supposed to do for us? You have the execution. Okay, are we actually doing that? And then you have the management of, okay, what still needs to be done? So like you can do that with almost any one of your tools. That's what I think is so cool. Like this is not just a concept that could be utilized for software. And I know you guys have some great ways to do it. And I want to like share those with the members as well. But like any member could take any one of their tools and apply this same framework to it. Even buying a new piece of equipment for your technicians to use. Okay, did we educate the technicians on how to use it and why this is so important to us? Are our technicians executing with that tool? And are we continuing to manage it to make sure that the tools we have are the right tools for the jobs we need to do? So this framework is so cool because not only is it so applicable to what you guys are doing, it can be used for any tool.
That's right.
So super excited about that. But tell us about how that has kind of impacted you and what you guys are seeing with that over at Powerhouse, with how do you use that education, execution, management side to help our members with the platforms that they're using?
Certainly. So we began Powerhouse solely focused on ServiceTitan implementation and optimization. So having been in the trades my entire career, I've worked with contractors and was at the forefront of ServiceTitan entering the market and really understanding what the challenges contractors faced with adopting this massive and complex tool into their business, whether it was understanding what they didn't know. That seems to be the biggest thing with software is I don't know what I don't know. Mm-hmm. So what can ServiceTitan do for me? Am I using it to its fullest potential? Why can I not trust my reports or my data? And so it was a general sense of unknown that led us to want to start Powerhouse so that we could offer not only the software expertise, but also the industry expertise. So how to apply the software to a contractor's unique business and get the most from it. And so we've always focused on that concept of it's not just the implementation, but it's the ongoing management and optimization, as well as process documentation. So this is your accountability check. Once we've developed a workflow in ServiceTitan, how are we training the team on it? Have we documented it so that as the company grows, those processes are in place and the company can scale without creating bottlenecks? Then we take the past couple of years and the emergence of all of these new tools and begin to realize we must take the same approach, the same thoughtful approach to every tool a contractor implements or integrates into their ServiceTitan platform. And that is, number one, the evaluation. So why do you need this tool? Have you already ensured that you're not getting it with ServiceTitan?
Yeah.
That is one of the most egregious things that we see is duplicative spend.
Yes.
Going back to the unknown. So understanding what ServiceTitan, how much of it you're using, how well you're using it, that's your foundation.
Yep.
The second layer is evaluating the tools that are needed in your business, whether it's an enhancement to what your FSM, ServiceTitan or Field Edge is not offering, or filling a gap.
Yeah, field service management, the FSM. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. And so once you've evaluated the additional tools, most contractors think, okay, that's done. I've done my homework, so I know I'm using ServiceTitan.
Yep.
I have strategically chosen the third-party tools that are going to operationalize my business, so I'm done.
Yeah.
But then there's the forgotten path. And forgotten path is implementation and ongoing management.
Yeah.
So that's where it's imperative to document the processes when you're implementing the tools so that you can continuously train your teams on how to use them, creating those accountability metrics internally.
Yep. And it's wild, if I can jump in, because you were talking last night and shared that story with me about there was a member that the duplicative nature of buying things and things stacking up on top of each other, where you, the work that you were doing and just asking questions and digging through everything, helped them find, what was it, $25,000 in duplicative spend that they could instantly kind of get rid of. But it wasn't even just that $25,000 loss in having multiple tools that do the same thing, but the value, that theoretical value is never reached on the back end. So it's not just, hey, we're spending $25,000 more than we should. We're also not making what we should from that investment.
Precisely. And that's where we get into understanding the numbers when you're planning your tech strategy and evaluating these tools. And so what we found with the contractors that we've worked with and the members that we've performed these tech stack evaluations for is that the average contractor is losing about 25% annually on just wasted technology spend.
Yikes.
So we're saying, and I'm like with a period exclamation point statement, tech waste is the hidden profit killer.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody realizes because these tools are implemented often haphazardly throughout the year, maybe by different individuals.
Yep.
And when we have come in to perform the initial assessments, one of the first questions that we ask is, do you know all the tools that you're currently using? And how much are you spending on those tools? Now, Nick, when you work with a member and you say, what is your marketing budget?
Yep.
Most contractors will be able to tell you that. And
hopefully, in an ideal scenario.
That's what you
did use the qualifier most, which I do appreciate.
Most, yes. And that's what, of course, you coach on and train on is the importance of aligning that marketing spend to annual growth goals.
Oh, yeah.
Now, when I ask that question about software, what is your software budget? Exactly zero. Contractors or members have been able to tell me what their software budget is.
Yep.
And that is the number one, knowing your numbers. So knowing how much do I need to spend in technology to get me to the growth goal, whatever that is for a contractor's business. The growth goal may be increasing their revenue. It may be increasing service agreements. It may be expanding markets, adding a new vertical, setting up the business to exit. Whatever your goal is, your tech budget is your lever, your growth lever to get you there. And so understanding that, understanding how tech budgets correlate with the growth goal is imperative to selecting the right tools. So knowing this is my budget, this is how we're going to stop buying into too many tools too. But if my tech budget is X percent of my growth goal, I understand my foundational cost, FSM, your Service Titan, whatever your field service management platform is.
Yep.
I understand I have some operational tools, some financial tools. So you think about your email suite, you've got your QuickBooks cost. Those are your core, your fundamentals.
Yep.
And then we can start layering in enhancements as applicable to the budget. So if I'm a $1 million shop and I am in growth mode, even though I might want all of those third-party AI tools, they may not fit within my budget that year.
Got it.
That's how we have a disciplined budget and are in alignment with the tools that are going to help us reach our growth goals.
Got it. So it sounds to me like what I'm hearing is like if you're a member, you need to be looking at these numbers. That's the takeaway that I'm getting here. Look at your software investment numbers. Treat it like an employee almost and kind of start utilizing it like, hey, are we doing annual reviews of this? Are we making sure that it still aligns with what we're trying to do? That's kind of the most important takeaway. And if they need help doing it, that's what Powerhouse is there for.
That's right. That's right. So everything that we've talked about, it sounds like a lot. It is a lot.
Yes.
It is a lot. And so when you think about the magnitude of it's very much a business planning process. And it's a business planning process where you're evaluating high-tech tools and platforms that you may or may not know the right questions to ask. So I always give an analogy because we empathize.
Oh, yeah.
We really feel this. So we outgrew our payroll platform here at Powerhouse about a year and a half ago. And we moved into a complete HRIS system, Rippling, super complex, but it had robust features that would help us grow as an organization. Now we are quite literal software experts.
Yes.
Software implementation experts. But the irony is we are experts in trade software and trades businesses. When it came time for us to implement this incredibly complex platform, a year and a half later, we're still finding stuff we weren't aware of because we didn't know what we didn't know in that process. And so that's why we're here as advocates for contractors. We've done those evaluations. We've vetted our partner network. We understand what the tools are, how they work, how they implement or integrate into primary FSM software, but also what the training lift looks like, what that implementation plan looks like. So we can offer a turnkey experience for a contractor, taking the burden of that tech business planning off of their plate.
Got it. Love it. That is so wildly important, and I'm so glad that our members got the chance to hear that and find this new way, because these are new tools that we're not familiar with. We might be familiar with the tools that we buy for our technicians and the drills and the augers and things like that, but we don't always think about it like this. So thank you for sharing that with us. Love the way that we can edit it. We can look at it, audit it, I think is what I meant to say there, with that education, execution, and management. So thank you for sharing with us. That was so wonderful. Thank you for your time today. How can people continue to engage with you, Jenny?
That would be great. So the easiest way to find us is to visit our website. It's mypowerhouse.group. You can find a contact form there, QR code, learn more about not only how we support contractors with ServiceTitan and Field Edge, but also about contractor resource planning, which is what we spoke about today, tech stack evaluations. So again, that's mypowerhouse.group. Beautiful.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful having you here, and thanks for sharing with the members.
Always so fun. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you so much for listening. Head on over to youtube.com/Nexstar Network to get your podcast fix and subscribe to get updated on all the newest releases.